Hello everybody and welcome! We're back with Call of Cthulhu Occult Origins. We'll be playing today Chaosium's published introductory scenario. It's called Paper Chase. Here I have with me the lovely Livi Domingue, who will be playing the part of Livi Domingue.
I'm Livi Domingue, playing Olivier, and I'm really excited. This is my first tabletop RPG adventure, so nervous. I'm excited. I'm also a streamer.
And some technical difficulties, but we're back. But we'll be getting into Paper Chase today. It is a introductory scenario, like I said, by Chaosium, and basically the character will be investigating a small little nothing crime, really, and just a few missing books, and we'll be seeing how that plays out through the course of today. But with our character, Olivier, I believe she chose the femme fatale archetype. Oh, thank you, Through the Blaze. And she will be, she has just, her character, Livi, has just recently, over the last course of a few months, inherited her uncle's old house in, just outside of New York City. To kind of set the scene, we have, it is currently, ooh, an old house, absolutely. Let's see, get this going, and I cannot touch it. Livi awakes on one cold, well, not really cold. It's a warm, late summer morning in August of 1919. She goes around the house doing her normal routine, and she notices that as she walks down the hall past her uncle's old study that there's a draft coming from under the door. Pushing the door open, you notice that the window has been left open. And quickly scanning around the room, she notices that a number of books, totaling 6, are missing from the shelves. The lines of dust still notifying that their absence. Go ahead and introduce your character, Melly. What does she look like? And how is she interacting with her first scene?
So she's relatively average sized, maybe slightly petite in sense. Her hair is very textured, slightly unkept, since she's been here for not terribly long and has just woken up. Possibly wearing, you know, a robe, a nightgown, just wandering around. The library is very familiar to her in a sense. She and her uncle were very, very close. Loved to discuss all the things that were in this room, all the adventures and things that they've read, so it almost feels to her, you know, a bit violating that these precious books, 6 precious books, are missing.
As she, oh, go ahead.
Is this an opportunity to look deeper into, you know, if there's...
Yes. As you look around, you see, of course, the bookshelves, there's the desk, and the windows that are kind of folded open on to the left. The desk is on the right wall. bookshelves on the back. As far as that, there's a couple of different paintings, and low-hanging chandelier, and different chairs to read in. But is there anywhere in particular you would like to start looking around, poking around?
I'd like to check the windows. I'd like to check the window to the right, you said?
Yes. As you go over to the windows and check them out, you notice that the latch on both of them has been unlocked. Left unlocked. Maybe you just forgot to lock them? You're not sure. But there was no sign of forced entry. It seemed like they were able to pull the window open.
Strange.
If you'd like, you can give me a spot hidden.
Yes, I'd like to roll spot hidden. So, this is when I click the green.
Yes, so yeah, go ahead and just click the green dice next to the appropriate skill. Ooh, dang. Yeah, so that's an extreme success. So just to touch on this for a second, because it's a perfect time. Not updating. Basically, there are 3 levels of success in Call of Cthulhu. And both of those have a range of rewards for them, as they were. A normal success will just be a normal success. You jump across the chasm, you make it, and you go across. A hard success, you jump across the chasm effortlessly and continue sprinting. You don't stumble at all. And like an extreme success is you grab your friend and you jump across the chasm effortlessly. It's that kind of scaling of success. So with the extreme success there, and just to touch on how that happens, you see the values here? There's 40, 20, and 8. So 40 is your total value. Half of that, which is 20, is your hard success. And then I believe it's a fifth of that, or I forget exactly how they break it down, but I think it's half of that again, which is extreme. So that's how that worked. And that works for all rolls. So there you go. You rolled freaking awesome on that 7. So yes, that's with that. Kind of looking down, you notice that there's just very soft divots in the windowsill at the bottom, like something kind of dug in, but it's not like, it's almost like claws. They weren't too deep, so you almost missed them when you were looking down at them. And as you're kind of maybe looking out the window, you actually see in the flower bed, kind of underneath the hedge underneath the window, you notice 2 odd-shaped footprints from like, probably like a good 5 foot, 6 foot to the windowsill, to the bottom of the windowsill, to the floor, to the ground. So you can't quite make them out through the bush, but I'm sure if you went out and investigated when you leave today, you could take a closer inspection.
Got it.
But yeah, that's what you noticed.
Interesting. Very unnerving. I'm assuming I'm just gonna lock that back.
Close that up, lock that up, go over to the other window, lock that up too.
Yes.
Yeah, no, those are solid.
Okay. I'd like to walk around and look at the pictures, just make sure that everything else is where it should be.
Okay. For my GM style, I don't like to do redundant rolls for a bunch of things, so I'm going to go roll off that extreme.
Yeah.
I'm just going to use the extreme that you used already for this, pretty much this whole room.
Perfect.
as long as you don't go too far. Once you find the like weird like secret compartment and you start going out, you have to do another. No, I'm just kidding.
Got it.
But yes. So as you kind of roll around, you notice none of the pictures are really lopsided, smashed, otherwise disturbed. But you do notice just a couple fingerprints, barely noticeable, on one of the pictures, and it's of you and of Livi and Douglas. You're not sure if that was maybe you touching it before, adjusting it maybe a couple days ago. They seem fresh, though.
That's very odd. I'm assuming that this, you know, aside from this fingerprint, I'm remembering some fond memories of how I've bonded with this uncle, and even more so how near and dear this space and this room is. And this fingerprint is making me even more curious, in addition to the claws at the window and those prints underneath the flower bed. And there's 6 books missing. Am I able to identify which 6 books? Is there something I can
Yes.
kind of look into?
There's 2 abstract checks in Call of Cthulhu. There's an idea roll, and there's a no roll. This one would be a no. Do you remember? Do you know this? So basically, this would be education. Just a straight education roll, and if you succeed,
Okay.
you'll know and you'll that little detail.
Okay.
Now be up in the
Pardon,
characteristics.
in the characteristics. Got it. Ah, got it. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. So same dice? Green?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice. Another extreme success.
Oh my goodness.
Rolling, like, getting all the good rolls out of the way so that later on, when things matter, we'll have just normal rolls again. Beautiful. I love it.
Dang it.
So yes, with this, you actually vibrantly remember. That being said, the GM doesn't quite have a full list for you, but I will say that Dracula, his copy of Dracula is missing. His copy of Alice in Wonderland is missing. His in a book on European history, a pulp fiction novel about like some cowboys and stuff like that in the West. A book about like the genealogy of like safari animals, and a thing about international music.
It's quite the array of books.
Yes. Don't ask me to repeat those.
No. I am personally very pleased that one of them is Alice in Wonderland. Not because it was taken, but because I absolutely adore the story. Truthfully, and okay, so these books are missing, and it seems okay. So I've remembered that these books are missing. I've looked at this photograph with Uncle Douglas and I. There's a very odd fresh fingerprint on here. see. Is there...
With that spot hidden, you do notice that there is a... You never really were too nosy with his like desk and stuff like that, but you do know that there is a locked drawer on it.
Ah.
You've poked around in the other ones. It's mostly just like writing utensils, the occasional notepad, that kind of thing. But that one you never found the key, or maybe you never even cared to find the key. But
so is it fair to assume that I would become curious now, since all of this is in my care, and should I kind of investigate where those 6 books were? Maybe not necessarily something hidden, but maybe there was something behind the books, or kind of in the shelf, or is that too...
So just because you're new to role-playing stuff, I would like to say I'm not going to make any decisions for you or tell you what to think.
Okay.
That's not my style. I try, sometimes I might do it by accident, just to kind of, in transition of something, but if I do, and there's not something you would ever do, stop me and we'll redirect. I want to make sure that you are in full agency of your character.
Okay.
That being said, I don't think it's meta knowledge to know that there's a locked drawer that you haven't explored. Right?
Right.
So I think if a curiosity arises and you think that it would arise in the character, I think that you have no problem acting on that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, yes, I am absolutely curious about this locked drawer, especially now with these missing things. I suppose I want to make sure it's still intact, and if so, I'd be curious to see what's possible to be in it.
Like, maybe morally or ethically, she's like, is this really have anything to do with it? But maybe it's a justification. She's like, now I have a reason to look into it. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know how you want to interpret her actions on that, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I would interpret her actions of looking into it as, my uncle left this home to me, and we shared a lot of history. We bonded, and I feel that at this point, if there was something that he would want me to know or see, I don't think he would be opposed to it.
For this one, you can either use locksmith,
Okay.
you can use mechanical repair, or you can try to find the key somewhere. Maybe it's in the house.
Is it possible well, I can only choose one or the other, look around for it, or try locksmith?
It's always in the last place you look, right?
Always.
So yeah, it's up to you. I was just kind of giving you avenues to take care of this. If you'd like to jimmy the lock, or take the drawer apart, you could try doing that. Or if you'd like to avoid doing that because you're not very good at either one of those, you can try to find the key maybe in the house somewhere, which will be a separate roll.
I would like to... I guess I'll try to pick the lock.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and give me a locksmith check.
Okay.
And good luck. That's okay. They can't all be winners. Do you want to spend luck on that? No, I'm just kidding. I don't even think you have enough.
That's fine.
So, you, without tools, you kind of take one of the paper clips and try to, like, Jimmy rig the lock, and you just kind of stick it in there, and there's a little bit of things. You think you get maybe one of the tumblers. But you're like, it's just you jamming this thing in there. It keeps bending. You're not having a good time.
Darn it.
Now, just to introduce a mechanic, if you would like to, there is such a thing as a pushed roll, where your character does something to, quote-unquote, up the ante. So, in this case, just as a theoretical, hypothetical, if she wanted to force it by pushing the roll, she could try again, but the roll would have to be a hard success. And at that, she would succeed. On a fail at that point, though, there would be a negative consequence. Obviously, logically, probably don't want to take that gamble in this scenario. But in the future, it is a tool for you to have.
Got it. So with this inability to crack the drawer, am I still able to look around for the key, or is this drawer just jammed now? I have to move on to
You didn't push the roll and you didn't jam it, so you're able to look for the key. You got the thing back out. You just were unsuccessful.
Got it. Okay. I think at this point, I would look around the home for the key. I'm very curious to know what is in this drawer.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a spot hidden.
Okay, so click it again, the green die.
Yes, please. Oof, that is a fail. So, upon kind of searching the house, you kind of go throughout all the familiar areas, and you're trying to check for like key hooks, maybe something, maybe one in the drawers. But as you kind of spend the next half hour or so looking, you come up with nothing. In this time, you kind of think a little bit, and you know, if there's a burglar, essentially, maybe the answer's not in the house. It's definitely not in that drawer. Curiosity aside, you know, it's probably not in that drawer. That being said, there's a couple different avenues you could take. Maybe you could check with the police, see if there's any burglars in the area operating, or something like that. Any reports of odd behavior or something. Maybe there's been a book stealer around. Who knows? It's odd, but this is an odd thing. Maybe they'll know something about it. You could ask around the neighborhood. Maybe somebody saw something. You can go maybe to the library. Maybe there's something in past, you know, newspaper articles in the archives that might a serial book burglar. Who knows? It's a little weird. So, and then there's obviously you can take a closer look at those tracks if you wanted to.
So I think what I'd like to do, Livy's spent a lot of time here. Maybe reaching out to a neighbor to, you know, kind of ask if they've seen anything or heard anything. Just, you know, someone who's nearby.
Okay.
Possibly.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of take care of your, finish your morning routine, kind of were interrupted from, and get ready to head out. And as you kind of take a walk around the block and kind of the hustle of the town kind of goes off about you. It's a quiet little area, but there is one of the neighbors, Agnes Downs. She kind of out, just seems like she's bringing some mail to the post office as she walks by and kind of nods at you before going to pass you.
So I'm assuming this is where I kind of wave her down and say, you know, hey, good morning. You know, how are you?
Oh, pretty well, dear.
Kind
how are you?
I'm great. I don't.
Doing okay in that big house by yourself?
Adjusting.
Oh, good.
But you know, I suppose anyone would be in this situation.
Oh no, absolutely. No one can expect more of you, do. What can I do for you?
I'm just curious. Have you seen any strange things around, you know, the neighborhood at night, or heard of any, you know, small burglaries, people having minor things stolen?
I don't quite recall. There was a burglar around a few months ago, but I believe the police caught him. I had to ask them. Other than that, anything odd? Pertaining to what, dear? Like, I saw this one fellow, well, best not to get into domestic affairs.
I'd be curious to know, is there any way I could kind of convince her to continue with that, just kind of between two, you know, folks that...
Oh, well, that's more promiscuous adultery. That doesn't need to be, probably isn't what you're talking about. But as far as odd behavior, no, not really. I did hear a report back in the day, but just some odd news article back, and she kind of like squints her eyes, really pondering, 10 years ago or so, about some college kids partying in a cemetery, but that what you're looking for?
Oh, not exactly, but
Well, I'm sorry, I don't quite know much else.
No need to apologize. I appreciate your time very much.
Oh, sure, dear. Well, I best be going now. Got some mail to deliver.
Absolutely. I'll see you around.
She kind of looks down the street a little bit and just makes and she's like, yes, absolutely, dear. You have a lovely day. And turns around and heads away.
Some promiscuous behavior. I hope I didn't miss out on anything there.
Anything juicy?
Pardon?
Anything juicy? Some hot goss?
Yeah, you know, sometimes people do things and they... but she did suggest I go ask the police. Since I'm in town, is it nearby? Could I go ask there next?
Absolutely. You can absolutely do that.
So I guess just kind of hustling and bustling, walking past and checking things out.
As you reach the I almost said police store. Oh my gosh. Alright, as you arrive at the police station, you walk up to the service desk and a constable looks over. May I help you?
My name's Livi, Olivier. I live in, I live in my uncle's house. His name is Douglas.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Have you all had any reports of burglaries lately? Any kind of strange break-ins, anything like that?
Kind of looks you up and down. Are you with the news or journalist or some sort?
No. I'm just new in town, just kind of still getting settled in. Just curious if there was anything. I just had some books missing. I figured I'd ask.
Well, Big Six Fingers is a last cat burglar in the area, but he's been serving his prison sentence out in Mexico, so no active reports. Do you want to file one?
Okay, don't want to cause any fuss. How about any kind of strange pets on the loose? Any kind of wild animals that have gotten into town by chance?
He kind of strange animals. Huh? Not that I know of. He kind of looks down at the desk, and you can roll a psychology roll if you'd like.
Yes. Oof. Okay.
Oof. All right. Okay. Got those good rolls out early. As he you kind of see him. He hesitates for a moment, but can't quite read it, and he's like, no, nothing about strange animals or anything lately.
Oh.
Unless
Okay.
you want to file a report about that, or what else I can do to help you?
I suppose I'd like to put something on record, I suppose, just for maybe a small theft, and if anything else comes up, maybe you could reach out to me.
Okay. He kind of just like goes straight into the spiel of, here's the paperwork, just file this out, blah blah blah, and if you could just do it in triplicate, that'd be great. And when you're done, file. That's great, bureaucracy, and we'll just montage that away through just mundane scribbling on papers and clipboards and whatnot. Return the report, and yeah, we'll let you know if we find anything out. He kind of sets it down and goes back to his work.
Well, thank you for your time, I guess.
No problem.
I suppose I'm not going to get much from here, so I should probably go back to the house and do some investigating, particularly around that flower bed.
two things.
Yes.
We can kind of like take that little investigation with the flower bed and just kind of splice that onto the end of before you left. If you wanted to. As you kind of looked over there, you saw it was only two that were in the soft soil. Once it got into the grass, it was harder to keep track. But you saw that it looked like maybe a hoof with a human heel, maybe a shoe. That's odd. Some hunters would do like a hoof on the front of their shoes to kind of throw off, trackers. So maybe a hunter of sorts. It's a little odd. Can't quite place it.
Okay.
You can attempt to roll a natural world if you'd like to identify it, but at first examination, this is what you know.
Got it. So this happened before we left, before we went to talk to anyone in town.
Yeah, we'll just kind of tie that into like before you left, before you talked to the Miss Downs.
Got it.
Left for the police station.
Yes, I would like to try a natural world roll.
Go for it.
Please be something good.
You got your 7 and 3 out already, unfortunately.
Got it.
That's another fail. But yeah, Livi, just not a tracker. She this isn't her expertise, so she's not sure what this is.
Okay.
But that being said, at the police station, she's turning on her heel. She's figuring out what the next step is. Just to kind of highlight a couple things. 2 people have mentioned that an incident happened a while ago, involving something in the cemetery with creatures. Who knows? With students or creatures or something like that. Who knows? So that might be worth investigating. How you would investigate that is by going to the library. And then, because that would be a news article, you could also try the newspaper office. The Arnoldsburg Advertiser, the coveted local newspaper. That being said, there's also what's left in the Kibble House if you wanted to as well. But.
I think it might be better if I go to the news house. If that's the yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to go there and see and read up on that.
Okay. Yeah, they'll have backlogs, and possibly even like archived stuff that wasn't published. Where I think the library will only have just the basic stuff that was published, so it's kind of going to the source.
Yes.
So yes, as you kind of head over there, you'll arrive in the at the Arnoldburg excuse me, the Arnoldsburg Appetizer, where there's a am I on the wrong one? I am. Where one of the secretaries welcomes you in. Oh, hello. What can I do for you?
Hey, my name's Livi, Olivier. I'm staying in my uncle's house. Uncle Douglas. I'm assuming a lot of people know him. Possibly.
Oh, yeah.
I was just hoping. Do you happen to have any articles from some months back about the local cemetery? I'd just like to read into it. I'm just curious to see what happened there.
That's all right. I've only been here for a little bit. I'm not sure about that, but we can certainly do a reel back of any articles that have to do with that area. I think the catalog, the card catalog would have that. And she kind of like bustles over to the giant wooden backboard with just little compartments, drawers and whatnot. She flicks through and opens up one of them, begins flicking through different little cards as you kind of stand there awkwardly as the bustle of the paper goes in the back. In the back rooms behind the atrium. After a minute or two of her, just kind of her, she's like, here, she pulls it out and she heads over to one of the rooms in the back. Follow me. She unlocks a door with a glass pane that says archives and kind of swings open and heads down into like a cellar storage area. Down here, hooded lamps kind of with orange light iridescent bulbs kind of illuminate the rows of shelves with an eerie kind of light. And as she kind of leads you down the avenue, each row, she comes to a filing cabinet, pulls open a drawer, and pulls out a leaf of articles, flips through them real quick, and hands you the one in the card.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. Anything else I can do for you?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, I know you said you have only worked here very shortly. Have you lived here for long?
Yeah, well, went to college here, so, you know, after college we kind of, so, you know, what, maybe 8 or 9 years? Been in the area?
Gotcha. Do you happen to recall anything from months ago? Am I able to ask her that? Is that...
You can ask her that. That's kind of vague, dear. Nothing in the cemetery. This article, she kind of looks at it. She kind of flips it, and she's like, "This is from 1910."
Oh. Gotcha.
I'll be at the desk if you need anything else. Like, and she kind of just leaves you with the article.
Gotcha.
Her high heels clopping back off into the distance, up the stairs.
Oh, Dancing with the Dead. Sunday, June 15th, 1910. Do you mind if I read this aloud?
I was just gonna let you, yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, let me get my glasses on. Okay. Friday night, officers were called to the Arnoldsburg Cemetery to break up an illegal gathering. Upon arriving, the police found the cemetery empty with no signs of looting or desecration. I questioned Mr. Jefferson about the incident the following day. I saw lights flickering in the cemetery from my shack, so I went to investigate. I saw a band of strangers, naked as jaybirds, cavorting amongst the gravestones, stated Mr. Jefferson, age 48, the cemetery's caretaker. The police never released an official statement about the incident, but one constable involved with the investigation disclosed that the individuals involved were most likely that of a local fraternity celebrating the end of semester. It's quite an odd way to investigate or celebrate the end of a semester. Huh. I wonder why.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I just thinking out loud. I'm curious why there was no official statement released.
One thing, with you being curious of that, I'm going to give you an idea roll for your character.
Okay.
Which will be represented by rolling an intelligence characteristic check.
Got it.
Oh. I will let you hold on to that suspicion of something. Maybe nothing. It's not the exact pinpoint of the idea, but you do know that you feel like something's missing here.
Okay.
Being a professional and a long-time student, you would probably understand that most newspapers go through an editor, and
yes.
Let's just go back to the article real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice anything strange about the quote?
So there's a couple things. There were, well, several things. Mr. Jefferson saw lights flickering. And that's not something that
produces light.
It happens very often, and the fact that naked people were cavorting amongst the gravestones. I mean, there's,
the one thing, yes, the context is, and I'm just kind of gonna help you out here.
Yeah.
The context is very weird. Yeah, absolutely, naked people. The ... shows that the
there's more to it.
quote has been abbreviated.
Yeah. Okay.
So using that, you know that there's probably an edit, a version of this article that's unedited, possibly. You're still here at the newspaper.
So there's a full statement that Mr. Jefferson made, and so I'm assuming I could go to the either the writer who investigated this story, or could I go to Mr. Jefferson directly?
Mr. Jefferson, the caretaker? You could. Assuming he's still being the caretaker at the graveyard. If you were looking for the editorial office where the rough draft, as it were, of this article would be, you are already kind of in the right place for that. It might just take a little persuasion.
I would like to do that.
Okay. As you head back upstairs, keep this article in mind, and you talk to the secretary. Olivia, did you find what you were looking for?
No. This article, it has helped me quite a bit. But is there a way I could get to the source material for this article by chance?
Well, that's usually reserved for journalists and stuff. The editor, it would be in the editor's office, but I can't really let you back there.
Well, I guess this is where I hit the roll.
You can hit the roll. Just to understand my style, I prefer if you roleplay it, and I usually don't require you to do a roll if you roleplay it well.
Got it. Okay,
but
perfect.
if you want to, if you're not comfortable, and that's okay.
No,
you can absolutely roll back over to the we can just do rolls.
Okay, no, I will.
For certain things like that we montage, I like to throw the roll in there so that we don't have like save time and just you charm them. Let's keep on going. But
got it.
This is a good.
Okay.
I want to foster the roleplay.
Got it. Love it. Okay. So kind of going back to the conversation between Livi and the. So I totally understand, completely respect that. The article is so good. It's very compelling. I just feel like something's missing, and I would love to know more.
She kind of like gets up, cracks the door to the printing press room, and it's kind of everything checks in, closes it. You have 5 minutes. She walks over, unlocks the editor's room that's adjacent to that, and leaves the door ajar. I didn't see. If anybody asks, I didn't see you walk in there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. I'll leave it the way I found it. I swear.
Okay.
So, okay.
As you enter the editor's office, there's a large draft table, kind of as the desk, and there's a wardrobe kind of right behind it, as well as a couple filing cabinets. Sorry, I didn't explain that very well. As you walk in, the drafting desk kind of splits the room in half, with the wardrobe behind, creating a little bit of a working space for whoever's in this office, and then in front of the draft room is your filing cabinets lined against the wall.
Got it.
That's a better way of describing that.
Got it. Okay. Right, so filing cabinets should be just like school. Labels on the front of the drawers. I've got the article here with a date, so if I just align the month and the year, I can look through the files and see which date.
Go ahead and give me a library use.
Okay. Please be nice to me.
Roll 20, come on. Aww. Okay. So, there's 2 decisions. You can leave that a fail. That won't necessarily mean you don't find it. That just means it takes a while. I'm kind of informing you of the repercussions of decisions so that you can make a choice. And then kind of I'll take the training wheels off later, but I'm just trying to help you out through this first interaction. So yeah, you can leave it a fail. In a lot of library instant use kind of roles or things where you're searching for something, a lot of times you don't always fail and don't find it. The fail sometimes just means it takes fucking forever. It takes longer than you intended. That being said, you could push it knowing that you have a limited amount of time to do this. It's up to you. I don't know if you've, I'm sure you have, looked for anything that's filed away in a bureaucratic method, and 5 minutes goes by real quick.
Yes.
So, it's up to you. There's a couple different avenues you can take. You can take luck, you can take push, or you can just take the thing.
I Can I do a luck roll?
Can't do a luck roll. What you would have to do is spend 23 luck to succeed. That's how that would work.
Oof. Oof.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Oh my goodness.
I might not recommend that.
Okay.
Save that for a life or death thing.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, I have a limited amount of time. Failed the library use. I could push it. Is it possible to use another avenue? Maybe I could lightly ask for some assistance if she wants me to get out of her hair quickly. I'm assuming maybe I can kind of push.
This one is where I'll ask for the charm roll.
Charm roll. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I will do that. Just kind of me peeking my head out the door. Just if I could.
Her eyes go a little wide as you begin to ask. Go ahead and roll me a try. She's like, okay, all right, hurry up, and kind of almost like bustles in, like past you, and like begins flitting through the card catalog and. Oh.
I'm kind of looking over her shoulder, seeing if I can get any pointers on how to do better next time.
She's like, flicks through, closes the drawer you were in.
Oh.
Goes up and back a little bit, pulls out another drawer, flicks down, and pulls out an article. Just take this and go.
Oh, I can take it with me?
Just, and like she just kind of bustles you out the door. As you reach the threshold of the door, you hear mutterings just on the other side of the print room door, and like all the blood drains from like the secretary's face as she's like trying to bustle you out. Go ahead and roll me a luck roll. You got this? Maybe. As she exits the editor's room door and goes to close it, you kind of just squeak out the door as she's closing it, and end up in the corner as the door to the printing press room opens, and you end up behind the door. And you just stay there, completely silent for a second. Miriam, can you head to the store and grab us a couple coffees for us? We're going to be having a little bit of a powwow over here, and we've been going all night. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Anything else? No, I think that'll be it. Kind of looks around. Everything okay? Yes, yes, of course. Yes, of course. Oh, it's... Take it easy, Miriam. Maybe get yourself a coffee, too. Door closes. You're just standing there. She just kind of wide-eyes you. Go. Go.
Thank you so much. I'll never forget this.
Don't mention it. And she kind of bustles you out as she grabs her coat. Realizes she doesn't need it, puts it back on the rack, and goes, follows you out.
Oh.
As you kind of head out onto the sidewalks, you both head separate ways. And you have a moment to take a breath. And
oh my goodness.
Reflect.
Oh, that was intense. I owe her a coffee as well. Oh my gosh. Um, I am absolutely beside myself. I definitely need to get somewhere to read this article. I must know. I must know what else Mr. Jefferson said or saw. I've got to know.
Okay.
Um,
As you head back home, I assume, or are you heading just kind of? It's up to you. Where do you want the setting of this reading to happen?
I would like for this reading to happen at Uncle Douglas's.
Okay. As you head back home, you're walking through the threshold, and you kind of head straight into the kitchen, and right there on the kitchen table, you split open the file, and in the file there's a couple little notes and stuff, but they all more or less get conglomerated in the original pre-edited article.
Okay.
Let me just put this in your journal real quick. And if you need to, you can double click on it to expand it.
Ah, perfect. Okay. All right. Let's see.
As you kind of look at it, you realize that the title has changed, and that's probably why you had trouble finding it, because you're looking at it by the title. She probably looked it up by the date.
Got it. Well, that's why that is her expertise, and I am merely a lifelong learner.
The more you know.
The more you know, absolutely. But this is very a very different take on the article, just from the get-go. Dancing with the Dead to Devils in the Moonlight there's something a little bit more ominous about it. Can I read this one?
I assume that's why you put on your glasses.
Yes.
And that's why I told you how you could expand it. I saw
okay.
I'm like, she's ready. She's loaded.
Let's do it. Okay, so all right. Devils in the Moonlight. Sunday, June 15th, 1910. Friday night, officers were called to Arnoldsburg Cemetery to break up an alleged illegal late-night gathering. Upon arriving, the police found the cemetery empty with no signs of looting or desecration. The only evidence to what happened was one witness statement from a madman, and two, a large number of hoof prints in the graveyard. We visited Mr. Jefferson in the local asylum and asked about the incident. I saw shadows flickering in the cemetery from my shack, so I went to investigate. There, in the light of the full moon, I saw a band of devils, naked as jaybirds, cavorting amongst the gravestones on cloven hooves. Their faces were like that of a dog's, and they reeked of mold and rot, stated Mr. Jefferson, age 48, the cemetery's caretaker. While there, I was able to gather that Mr. Jefferson had suffered a psychotic breakdown that night and was found breaking into the local church later that morning, shortly after the alleged incident occurred. The police were reluctant to speak on the incident, but the official story is that the individuals involved were most likely that of a local fraternity celebrating the end of semester, and the hoof prints that of a donkey or mule. despite no real answers coming to light during our investigation, we can be certain that the only jackasses involved with this incident are the police themselves. Oof. Yikes. That's quite a different take. And Mr. Jefferson went mad because of it? Something is not adding up. This feels really dark. Could I possibly have an idea? Or
do you have any? Or would you like an idea roll? Basically, an idea roll is me telling you what to think. What your character thinks.
Oh no, okay.
You're allowed to have your ideas. I'm not here to mitigate free thought.
Okay.
And if you want to just, spell out your thought process too, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's a possible link it's between these hooved prints. There's those beneath the flower bed that disappear in the distance, and there's these that were in the cemetery. So there's that. It's quite unnerving that the witness, which I'm assuming was logical enough to take care of a cemetery, yet had gone mad after seeing this. And it's interesting that the police were reluctant to speak about it, and that officer didn't seem very open to discussing any wild animals on the loose. So I have a hunch that they're hiding something.
How very police of them.
Yeah, how very police of them, yes. Let's see.
That being said,
Yes.
I don't want to stop any thought processes. If you still got something, continue.
No, please.
That being said, there's still... You kind of let it cool off because you weren't having a luck, but there's possibly that drawer that you might be able to find the key for. In fact, go ahead and roll me a luck as you're just in the kitchen.
Okay.
Wait. Did you roll twice? By accident?
Oh, I think there was one from earlier.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Okay. That is a fail, unfortunately. So it doesn't just fall into your lap, unfortunately.
No worries.
With that being said, it does come into your mind, and you can attempt another check now that it's, later in the day, late afternoon, rolling by.
Okay. So I guess with that, am I still kind of looking around, or do I go back to the study, the library, where my uncle's keeping the books in the desk?
Mechanically speaking, this spot hidden's more for the house to find the key.
Ah, got it. Okay,
Yep.
got it. So
And go ahead and give me a bonus dice. I'm introducing another mechanic here.
okay.
bonus dice and penalty dice are a thing in Call of Cthulhu. So basically, if there's a situation that gives you somehow an advantage, you get a bonus dice. So if I am trying to, for instance, shoot from a vantage point, I'll have a bonus die. If I'm shooting from low ground, I'll have a penalty die. And those dice are just a d10 attached to the roll. So in this case, because you've already searched the house, you already know where it's not, I'm going to give you a bonus die on your spot hidden. So you'll roll a normal spot hidden.
Okay.
Okay, 49. And then you will go ahead and roll an extra d10 on top of that. So go over to the toolbar on the left. Just go ahead and hit d10 on the scroll down. Alright, so what this does is adds this 6, the total value you need. So that makes your success rate a 46. Still fail. That means you can now spend luck. You only need to spend 3. Would you like to? Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Beautiful. So that means that you have a success on that roll. Go ahead and deduct 3 from your total luck.
Okay.
As you have now spent some of the luck.
Okay.
And as you are searching about, because you're kind of a little shorter, you didn't see it before, but when you enter into the hallway from the front of the house and the kitchen, the sitting area, you notice on top of one of the door sills a little glint of brass. And as you reach up there, you find a key.
Got it. Oh, goodness. Douglas was a tall one. And if he wanted to keep me out of something, this is the way to do it.
His favorite snacks are still on the top shelf. You have not been able to... You have not maybe had the heights or really the willingness to take them down because of just nostalgia. As you look up at it, you kind of laugh every time you open the cabinet. You see his snacks up there. His black licorice.
Black licorice, peppermint. Goodness. Even a little bit of taffy.
Oh yeah. Anything sweet.
Yeah.
So yes, as you find this key, the ba-da-da-da sound goes off, and you, I assume, head straight back to the desk.
I am beelining it to the desk. I am
full on
both excited and nervous.
Full on in stockings, shoes off, slides into the study.
Oh yeah.
Overshoots it a little bit.
Maybe even stub my toe, but that won't hurt me. It's okay.
As you're kind of like hopping on one foot, you insert the key into the lock, and a very satisfying. And
yes.
You pull the drawer open, and there is one thing in here: a leather-bound journal.
Interesting. Let's see. It's this key, this journal.
Beautiful.
Let's see what we've got.
Kind of flip towards the back. And you look at the last 3 entries. Which one do you look at first?
I think I'll rip the bandage off and go straight to the end and possibly work my way back from there.
Okay.
Okay.
for... Should have Douglas Journal 3.
Okay. August 30th, 1919. I've reached a decision. I'm going to join Bram and the others below. I can finally get away from all this pomp and circumstance of society. I can finally just enjoy my stories and share them with others. My only regret is I will be able to...
Unable.
I'll be unable to continue correspondence with Olivier. Unfortunately, I can't say goodbye properly, but hopefully my home will convey my notion of my gratefulness. As for the rest of you, goodbye and good riddance. Sincerely, Douglas Kimball. What does he mean? Join the others below. And if he's somewhere and he can't talk to me, I don't understand. And who are the others? Is it possible to read the other 2 entries, or do I only get 1?
No, they just disappear as you read the first. No, I'm just kidding. You can read the other 2. Miraculously.
What an awful luck.
Right. As soon as your fingers touch the page, it just disintegrates. No, you're good.
Okay.
Are you going back, or are you going just backwards in chronological?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I knew Uncle Douglas hated people, but I didn't think he'd hate them that much, that he would just up and disappear. I guess let's see what else. August 23rd, 1919. I went the deepest I've ever gone. Bram had led me through their tunnels before, but this time we entered an antechamber. There were dozens, more than I've seen in one place before. I sat down with my copy of Dracula and did my best to translate it for them. Despite my nerves, it seemed to go well. Many of them seemed engaged with my narration. I look forward to finishing the story for them next time. What? Where was he going, and why? What is this chamber? What are these tunnels? And I don't understand why would he take these books? I don't... Okay,
And the third article. Journal 1.
okay. This is terrible. August 18th, 1919. Another miserable day. Dealing with miserable people. Sounds just like him. Another day working twice as hard for half the pay. Keeping on a smile and turning the cheek has become exhausting. I find myself longing for escape. Books, my niece's letters, and my friends below provide but fleeting respite. But they kindle me some hope that it's not all bad. There is something more. he was looking for a way out. And I knew that he hated people. I knew he hated society, the classes, and just how pompous people were, particularly in this town, which, you know, we try to get along with the neighbors, and every summer he just, I guess, seemed to grow more and more exhausted until now. So that just still doesn't explain what all this nonsense is about with below. What does he mean below? I'm just kind of going back and forth, rereading, seeing if there's something else that sticks out to me.
One thing, I'll have you roll on the idea check, which is an intelligence check.
Okay.
Straight. You ever have those moments where there's a missing piece, just goes,
yes,
and then everything powers on. Everything.
The
cemetery?
Aha!
You remember in his correspondence that his favorite place to read was the cemetery.
Oh.
The cemetery has come up multiple times. That's the only place you haven't checked.
Okay, that's it. I have to go to the cemetery. I have to see what this is about. Maybe something from, from June till now. I've got to follow this hunch. Something is not right.
And as you kind of head out, you know that the cemetery is only like not even a block away. It's fairly close. It's in like 2 lots away from your house, basically. And as you kind of make your way over there,
Creepy.
there is a. Oh, hey Symbio, thanks for the raid. I appreciate that. Hey, Katie Boo. We're just playing some Call of Cthulhu with Melly the Martian, introducing her character to the story. If you don't know her, she's a wonderful human being, and you should check her out. But that being said, as you kind of wander over to the cemetery, you will make your way inside, and it's still pretty light out. It's getting closer to evening. It's about 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's the summer, so there's still plenty of light left, but there's that little bit of orange hue beginning to heat up the sky, and the hedges and mausoleums and this begin to darken with shadows at this point. Various white tombstones almost stacked on the top of each other throughout this little area. It's a decent-sized graveyard. And as you kind of bustle in, you do hear the of some activity as you kind of round one of the corners. You see kind of probably a few yards away the caretaker, a hat and jacket on, kind of looks over, tilts his hat to you, goes back to his work. Seems like he's cutting some some of the moss, the vines off the tombstones that are closer to the hedges. Machete.
Excuse me, I hate to be a bother. Might I interrupt you for a moment?
I suppose I don't see why not. What can I do for you?
My name's Livi. I'm relatively new in town. I'm staying at the Kimball place.
Oh, Kimball. Well, nice to meet you. My name's Malarius Jefferson, caretaker here.
Hi, Mr. Jefferson. I would hate to bother you for too long. Just curious. Some time ago, there's something strange happened out here. I was wondering, can I ask you a couple questions about that?
I don't have much memory of that, but I have no problem with you giving me an excuse for a break. He kind of pats out a cigarette and lights it. He pats another one. You want?
Oh, thank you.
Okay. He kind of takes a step back.
I was just wondering, is there... I understand you don't fully remember or remember anything at all, but do you happen to recall whereabout it was that something had occurred here, or maybe a place where some college students may just, come hang out by chance?
Oh, you're talking about the devils.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Oh. I don't know what I saw that night. I've been... I assume it was just those kids, probably, like they stories tell, newspaper. But it was he kind of gestures over to a small little section near back where more of the mausoleums are, and there's a little, like, you know how they're like roads. There's like a little cul-de-sac type circle around a couple of the bigger gravestones that kind of has a couple of mausoleums in the back and headstones and stuff. And it's like, what? That's where I saw him. But he kind of just kind of hesitates and stops mid-sentence awkwardly. You can roll a psychology roll if you like.
Sure.
Ah, 51. That's alright. You do notice that he kind of stops for a moment and kind of like changes the subject. So, the Kimball house, you related?
My Uncle Douglas, he used to live there. He left me his property. It's like my second home, you know.
Oh. Yeah, used to come here quite frequently. Usually see him in the evenings after his got off his accounting job. Yeah, he kind of like leans against one of the stones and just kind of reminisces for a second. Yeah, you and I used to talk about weather, and told me about his like various interests in foreign lands and stories and whatnot.
Yeah, that's my uncle, all right.
Used to perch up on a tombstone right over there. Honestly, He kind of points back over there. Yeah, right over there. And kind of not in the same area that he was pointing out about the like things, but kind of a little bit adjacent to that. There's a large tombstone that kind of has a flat surface, and you can see that one of the sides is just a little bit smoother than the other. You know how like tombstones have the rough edge?
Yeah.
This rough edge has been smoothed over just a touch.
Interesting.
Yes, we used to read over there all the time.
Gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Jefferson. Do you mind if I ask you one more question?
I don't see why not.
When my uncle, Douglas, was out here reading or just kind of taking some time off away from work, did you ever see him with anyone? Anything?
He kind of like, you can see he's a little like, his eyes are flitting a little bit. He's he seems to be dancing around something. He's like, no, never seen him with nobody. Not back then.
I mean, I know my uncle wasn't a very, super friendly guy. I had hoped that maybe he found some solace with some companionship, I suppose.
I never saw him with anybody, really. He didn't have a woman or no children. And I don't think he even had anybody in this graveyard he was particularly visiting. He was just kind of a solitary individual.
Perhaps have you seen any can I ask, I want to ask him about the books. Ask him if he's seen any random books left in here.
No, not recently. Found an old copy of, I think it was what, Dracula or something?
Or...
But that was like a year ago.
Here at that near the tombstone that you used to see my uncle at, or
honestly, I did keep it for him to make sure I had it next time he stopped by.
Could I perhaps acquire that book and return it to the study?
I suppose with him missing, no, it's your property. Why not? Let me just head back to my shack. He kind of heads back to your shack and kind of invites you along.
Okay. It's cozy.
Oh well, thank you. You don't have to lie. You look at it and it's just like has like whole like active light coming through like the seams and like in between, like it's a little rickety. He's got one bed, a stove heater, and like just a nightstand, and that's about it. And he kind of goes over to the nightstand, pulls open a drawer, and pulls out a first edition copy of Dracula.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Shame he disappeared on you. No doubt everybody liked him, but never bothered me. Did my taxes too.
Yeah, he very smart man. Very, very smart man. Loved books, like you said. I mean, very interested in world and other lands, and I learned so much from him, and I miss him. I miss him a lot.
Sorry to hear that, man. But I gotta get back to it, but if there's anything else you need while you're here, I'll be here for till the sun goes down.
Okay.
He kind of looks up and he's like, man, about an hour.
Well, I'm happy to be reunited with this book of Dracula, but I'm curious. One of the last entries in my uncle's journal was that he was reading this book to his friends, and the fact that the book is here, I mean, my uncle was a man of letters, and I'm just curious, is it possible that he left a note, a bookmark, something to show where he was in the story, if he maybe had an entry in the book?
He, as you know, and not Melly, but Livi, knows that he would never desecrate a first edition of anything ever. He bitched about so many people putting that fucking little, like, rabbit ear on things. He's like, they ruined the entire integrity, and the spine began to crack, and just letters. You have at least a dozen letters of him just bitching about them, you know, collectors fucking up good books.
Yes, okay. Silly thought. Got it. Of course he wouldn't. Of course he wouldn't. No. Wishful thinking, I suppose.
The voice of him comes back and is like, how dare you? No.
Uncle, no, I'm sorry.
Not on a first edition. Buy a second book if you want to do that shit.
Of course. But if my uncle wouldn't have this book be desecrated, why would it be left out here? I mean, it's a first edition. I'd like to look where the book was left.
Okay. You head back to his favorite gravestone. And go ahead and roll me a spot hidden. As you kind of get here, you realize that it looks like he just wore a butt spot and a back spot into this stone over years and years of reading here. Like, and as you kind of look around, you kind of, like, it's, you know, it's a cemetery, but, like, it's a little creepy, but, like, birds chirping, sunlight's kind of streaking through the trees. It's a nice little spot. The spot hidden.
Did it go through?
It did.
Okay.
It did not succeed though.
Dang it.
As you kind of look around, you don't see anything at first. And you kind of just take a moment and sit. Sit in his spot. Get in his butt print. Understand his thoughts. And as you kind of...
sloucher.
Was a sloucher. As you slouch, you realize that you just kind of begin reminiscing a little bit, and as you're daydreaming, you kind of... You ever daydream and you know you're still looking at things, but the brain images are just kind of going and taking up all the RAM. So you're just kind of gazing at the ground, reminiscing about, talking about Alice in Wonderland, the trip down the rabbit hole, how it changed her and all that stuff.
Darn.
The perils she went through, but also the wonderful adventure. All this talk kind of reminds you that, and kind of come back to blinking fondly at this memory. You see a hoof print.
This is odd.
As you see this, kind of now that you know what to look for, you see another one. Another one. It's a whole trail kind of leading from here and way over down the graveyard, over the cobblestones. Even between the cobblestones, you're seeing the moss be picked up by the... So you can kind of follow the tracks. And it brings you to a mausoleum that's kind of a little bit sunken and crooked in the earth.
Very
As
aged
you-
mausoleum.
As you look at the steps, you see one muddy step. And one muddy hoof print on the steps to the mausoleum. Presumably leading inside.
I have to go in. I have to see what's in here.
As you go to pull on the door, it's heavy and it's kind of stuck. Go ahead and give it a heavy pull. Give me a strength check.
Is that a strength?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice. So as you reach to grab the handle, you can kind of maybe feel it budge a little bit. It's not quite enough, and as you put your foot against the other door, you feel it almost depressurize as you pull it back, and the door swings. And a miasma of rotten stank, mold, and death pours out. Go ahead and roll me a con check. As your eyes begin to water and your gag reflex kind of triggers just a little bit for a second, this smell kind of pours out of this crypt, and inside you find the lid to the sarcophagus, as it were, kind of slid over to the side, ajar. Darkness within. Your body begins to deal with the smell, and you kind of can at least breathe. But that smell almost put you on your ass.
Ooh. Goodness. All of the bodies that I've ever dealt with never smelled this bad. Ugh.
As you approach the sarcophagus and take a look in, you find that the corpse is gone. The bottom of the stone has been broken away and chipped away, and there's what looks to be a hand-dug hole leading down into darkness.
Who would do such a thing? I suppose there's no turning back now. I have to keep pressing forward. What if Uncle Douglas has made a terrible mistake? What What if he's in there? I have to go. I have to go.
She clambers into the coffin, walking into what could be her own grave, and her feet first lowers herself, her feet catching on the slope. Do you have any source of light?
I suppose a small lighter? I guess I could I roll luck for a lighter or something?
Go ahead and roll luck. Yeah, go ahead and roll luck.
Okay.
I like that. Oh, dang. As you look around, you see, to your luck, a lantern, but it's smashed.
Damn it.
There's still a little bit of daylight. Maybe you could ask old Mr. Jefferson for maybe a flashlight or lantern.
Yeah. Mr. Jefferson?
You see his head pop up from behind a cemetery stone. What?
Still here. I just checking out, where the book was. It looks like there's only a little bit of daylight left. Do you happen to have a flashlight or a lamp, something I could borrow?
Sure.
I won't keep it long.
I'm not going to be doing any night work today anyway. You can kind of reaches down, grabs his lantern, and hands it over to you.
Oh.
Just leave it by the shack when you're done, if you don't mind.
Oh. Okay, yeah, sure. I appreciate it.
Anything else I can do for you, Miss Kimball?
No. I just if anything happens, just
What happened?
I mean, if you remember anything, would you let me know?
Sure.
All right, I'll see you shortly.
He kind of is a little confused. You can feel it. He's not understanding the context. He's like, sure, man. Of course. And he just kind of turns around. You hear him mutter something, but you're not sure what it is. If you'd like, you can roll a listen check.
I absolutely would.
Okay. You hear. You can barely make it out as he kind of turns back to work.
Hey,
You head back to the mausoleum promptly, and now with a flashlight, take a step into the sarcophagus and lower yourself down into the darkness, clicking lighting up the lantern and holding it out in front of you. I'm going to pause here. We're going to take a break.
Okay. Yeah.
And we'll be back. We'll be searching this hole. We'll be going down the rabbit hole, as it were, and exploring down here and wrapping up our conclusion. So, our scenario. But we'll be back here in a few. I'll leave you with some tunes, and we'll see you soon. Welcome back, everybody. As my hair goes flying everywhere. We took a break and we're back. We are currently with Millionaire Martian, who's playing Livi, who is decided that there's only one way to solve this, and that is by going down the hole. And no, not like old school, like 90s cartoons, but rather a more rabbit hole in a cemetery type thing. So yes, we'll pick up more or less right there. As you descend and your feet meet the slope of the tunnels, click on, you light up the lantern, and the glow lights up a oddly elaborate series of tunnels that jettison off and split off into multiple locations. You can see there's bits of root, some scrap wood, metal, what looks like just the odd debris used to kind of keep some of this reinforced. Mm-hmm. But you're not 100% certain of the integrity of these tunnels. As you kind of creep down, you do kind of crunch over what you hope is leaves, and descend a little bit deeper. At the first fork, you find that it jettisons off one kind of slanting off to the right and down, one that goes straight in front of you and remains kind of level, and then one that off to your left that kind of seems to taper upwards. As you kind of squish in the half-soft soil, you realize that it's mud, yes, but that stuff that you were crunching on was actually small bones.
Great. Well, this was my bright idea for the day. So I can either go down, go up, or keep going straight. Okay. If there was anything that's living in here, I'm assuming that these bones might go that direction. Can I do...
If you would like to just... You can do a navigate roll?
Yes.
And hope for the best.
This is... The odds are against me on this.
You're pretty sure... down, right? But maybe straight and parallel? Or maybe just go back. You're not sure. Your brain doesn't know where to go. Or Livi's brain doesn't know where to go. Which way is the correct way?
Well...
But technically everywhere is forward.
Technically, yes. And these bones are everywhere, and it's so dark, I just can't seem to make out which way to go. Well, maybe I'll just keep going straight.
So you choose to continue going straight, and as you kind of hunch over to make it through the tunnels.
Getting cramped in here.
Yeah. Luckily, you don't have to hunch over too much because you're small, but like still, like you can't stand up straight for sure. Can't imagine if.
I bet this
luckily,
is how Alice felt.
There's a little bit of that. And as you continue down this tunnel, it doesn't jettison off, doesn't branch, but you continue down for walking for minutes. Nothing changes. As you look back, now the lantern no longer illuminates where you were, and both forward and behind you are illuminated with the fading, with the lantern fighting off the encroaching darkness on the sides of you. It seems... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just thinking out loud just how ominous this feels, how enclosed in this space. Sorry, continue.
As you continue on cautiously forward, you hear something ahead. You're not sure if you hear something. Go ahead and roll me a listen check. Maybe you hear something ahead. Not sure.
Found ya.
Do you want to do... Are you okay with that failure? Or would you like to do anything about that?
How bad is it? Sorry, I'm having trouble.
Oh, sorry. It's 41 out of 25.
Oof. This is really important. I am in the dark. I am in a tunnel. I may have heard something.
Would you like to push the roll?
I would like to push.
So, I need you to make me a hard success with your listen roll.
Okay. So I do listen again? Or what? How do I?
Yep, listen again.
Okay. Okay.
Unfortunately, that is also a fail. Can you tell me how Livi ups the ante? Does she close her eyes? Maybe? To help her listen harder? How does she listen harder?
She closes her eyes and she leans in. She leans in as far as she can, almost to where she's about to fall forward off of her tiptoes.
As you kind of do this and you strain your eyes and listen hard, you smell something right as you run into something, face first. As you do this, you fall back, you stumble. Go ahead and roll me a sanity check.
That is...
Going to be below your characteristics in the box to the right.
Got it.
Success. As you fall back, you look up and see a looming figure hunched over with a face that has been elongated.
Oh.
Spectacles sit on the nose and a head of what looks to be a horseshoe bald hair, but with very mangy hair, and a growing grizzle of fur matted with crimson chunks.
Uh,
Go ahead and lose 1 sanity.
okay.
as this beast-like thing, this vaguely canine man thing, looms over you. What do you do?
In this moment, I think that Livi would, in terms of fight or flight, she would get the hell out of Dodge. She's in there alone, and she's been alone before. She's dealt with creeps before and all sorts of things, but never anything like this. And she would not take her chances fighting such a creature.
As you scramble, go ahead and give me a dex check. Spinning around, in the fall, you drop the lantern in the book. You quickly get scramble backwards, grabbing the lantern as you scramble and begin to turn and clamber onto your feet. The book, unfortunately, remains behind you, but without even missing a beat, without even giving them a chance to, like, react, you already have, like, got and fuck this place, I'm out. And begin, you get on your feet and begin running. From behind you, because your senses are peaked, you expect, in between your heart pounding, there to be footsteps, grunts, some growl. There's none of that. Looking behind you, you see that the figure has not moved and is now just sitting on the edge of the lamplight that you hold in your hand. And actually has reached down, picking up the book.
Is it seriously just looking at the book?
It does one of these. You see it looked at you, more or less, the profile and the silhouette. It's kind of half-light, right? Panic, right? And you see it not react, not follow you, stay completely stationary as you run away, and then look down curiously, reach down, pick up the book, look at it, and kind of look back at you. In a somewhat deeper guttural voice than I'm capable of. Livi?
Uncle Douglas?
He moves forward into the light, and as the lantern illuminates him properly, it is the same beast you saw a second ago. But now that you see him in the proper light, you realize that it is your uncle. Elongated face, his hair now a little bit more wild, claws, hooves, and a bit of a slouched demeanor.
What?
And naked as the day he was born. He kind of holds the book a little bit down awkwardly.
Uh, um... What happened to you? What happened? What's going on?
Let's talk. Let's head up to the surface.
Pardon?
You shouldn't be here. Let's head up to the surface.
I could say the same about you.
I'll explain everything. We need to get you out of here.
Okay.
And from behind you, the awkward feeling that something beastly is following you is completely accurate as you make your way out of the tunnel over the next few minutes. The smell you've more or less gotten used to, but is quite pungent around him.
Oh.
As you make your way out of the mausoleum, he slinks past you and helps you up out. As he gives you a hand, you find that a little bit of gore, residual blood, kind of smears off onto your hand. Smell with it. And he goes over and sits on his tombstone and eyes you expectantly over.
I am trying to make this make sense. I opened your drawer and I read through your journal, and I know you wanted to escape, but I wasn't expecting this. What is going on? Who are these friends? Why did you leave? Why did you leave like this?
He nods and kind of smiles a little bit. I would understand your confusion. Simply, without adding extra complications to the problem, to the explanation, as it were, I was done living a life for other people. I'm sorry that I didn't tell you, but do you blame me? I tried to write a letter. It never looked sane enough to send, honestly. With the government searching the mail, and now I don't trust it. Is it ideal? He looks at his hands. They're now like kind of claws. No. But I can read anytime I like. There's no expectation of me to pay bills or tax man. There's no odd look. No. Loneliness. Letters were lovely, Livi, and I loved your visits, but can't live for them alone. Here I become a storyteller like I always wanted. Telling other people's stories, but ones they haven't heard. They're not all bad. Yeah, the diet's a little something to get used to, but you see, I'm adapting.
The diet?
He kind of raises a hand. Don't make me go into it. Don't make me spell it out.
Well, Uncle Douglas, were you at the house recently?
Yes, actually. Ran out of books.
Well,
And they wanted to hear Dracula again. Fortunately, I dropped it on the way back in here. Apparently, it wasn't back at the house. Where did you find it?
well, Mr. Jefferson found it, actually. It was by the tombstones, and that's when I found
I looked there, but it was gone by the time I came back. I wondered what happened to it.
Well, but see, that's where I found the hoof prints, and that's what led me over there, and this is utter madness. What is there?
There was just a world war. They call it a great war, which
A great what?
Livi, out there's madness. This makes sense. There was just a great war where they just sent a third of our young to die for the industry of war.
But I thought those were just fairy tales. I thought those were just, stories, something to pass the time.
They're not all stories. And stories come from something. Just imagine putting your finger on the source of some of the old folklores and the tales that we've read growing up.
But the source, Uncle? I mean, that's all made up. I mean, no one really knows that.
He holds up a hand, which is now like meaty claws, and looks down at his foot, which still has some form of a human thing, but it looks like the balls of the feet have become hooves and are beginning to elongate into a more canine-esque leg. Kind of like that of a satyr. Far be it me to tell you what to believe your eyes or not, but believe those stories. To some degree. Bram Stoker, Dracula, kind of transformation. It's fascinating.
What did this to you? How did you get this way? Did you make some kind of deal with the devil or something?
No. No crossroads, no No sacrifices. No ritual circle. They explain it as the nature of things. Adaptation. Like Darwin, but on an accelerated level.
I'm afraid to ask, but what have you seen? Can you tell me anything?
I can tell you all sorts of things. Whether you believe me or not, or even understand. Them as I say them. Some of them indescribable. Another thing. The tunnels go deep. The tunnels go deep into the earth. And spread out far and wide, even under the cities. Many of them sprout out in the graveyard.
The entire city?
Cities.
Cities?
There's a network that goes beneath the world, next to the caverns, deep areas of the world. Even further down, there are other things, creatures, gods, whole world hidden out of sight. They kept it from us.
But
they go about their vapid lives, not knowing a whole ecosystem, a whole society. Societies exist just below their feet. Never mind in their deep pasts.
this is a lot to take in right now.
Well, I can't write it down for you.
Well, how did you come across such a world? Were you a part of that group? That the articles, there was some kind of ritual happening out here?
I believe that was the creatures themselves that he saw.
So those were actual devils?
Yeah, if you want to call them that, sure. That's one name for them. Creatures. Jackals. Devils. Ghouls. I believe they've existed for millennia and have been the subject of many what we would call fiction. They're real. They're as real as me standing here.
And you did all this just to get away? Because you can't stand society that much?
Is it so far-fetched? Am I not allowed to be tired?
I didn't mean it that way. I just feel like you kind of gave up. And
you're not wrong. but in this way, my days are elongated, and I get a new world to explore. And I have a purpose beyond just doing some numbers for unappreciative people.
But what are these other creatures? Are we in danger? Is there something that I need to know?
He laughs. My dear, we live on placid islands of ignorance. It was not meant that we should stray too far.
But what if I want to know more? What if I want to see more? I mean...
Then you'll have to find your own path. I do not believe this is yours. There is plenty out there to find. You need only be curious, and sure, the opportunities will find you. But I do say, be careful. And be wary.
Will I ever be able to talk to you again after this?
He kind of feels guilt, and like you hear his it kind of catching his throat a little bit. He's like, I don't know. It's doubtful. Apparently, there's now that human is down here, as we're down here, we'll have to collapse the tunnels. Move.
But what if you run out of books, right? What if you run out of books and there you have the whole study, and you say you have, you know, all the time in the world now. Your days are longer. I mean,
I still only been there a year, so getting used to the customs and culture and the societal workings is not all that's known to me, but they are planning on moving, and it will be too far to return. Apparently, south is their destination.
so
Ironic.
that's it. You just leave?
Not every story has a happy ending, really. Some stories, when they seem like they're ending, they're really just beginning.
I don't know how to find my way. I mean, I this is so out there. I don't even recognize you. Not fully.
You kind of, well, people change. They evolve. Some don't turn into monsters. Not all monsters are monsters.
But what exactly does that mean if I don't know what all is out there? How do I know what monsters are monsters and what monsters aren't monsters? That doesn't...
That's the same for normal life, isn't it? Learn by experience. You learn by exploring. You learn by stepping out of your depth. I recommend being cautious, because there's a lot we don't know. That being said, I would be a hypocrite to dissuade you from curiosity. But that's what's made me most proud of you these years. There is deep magics. There is spells. They all have a cost. Some of them are worth the cost. Some have a cost so great that no one can pay them.
I don't fully understand. These were all fairy tales, and now you're telling me that somehow these fairy tales aren't all myths? I mean...
Isn't that wonderful, though? Dragons could have been real. The Knights of the Round did fight dragons and did deal with wizardry. The parting of the Red Sea truly happened. Giants existed. Magic existed. And it still does. It's just being hidden in the world. It's understandable to not be able to perceive everything and understand it all, but omniscience is not what we were designed.
Like you said, though, even with all the beauty, there's an ugliness as well. There's depravity. I mean,
I don't have an answer for that. Except for that it always has been, and there always will be. But there's always curiosity, intelligence, bravery, kindness. As he kind of laughs to himself, so he has those concepts that they exist too, simultaneously.
I guess I won't understand until I understand, right?
Odds are,
I mean,
even
you've
then, you'll
always
only have a
told me
piece of
to
it.
remain curious, so.
It's an iceberg, Livi. You only see a little bit of it before you dive in. That being said, I should get going. I was just on my way up to grab the last books before I parted. He kind of gestures to Dragula. With this in hand, I think I'll call it good.
Are you sure?
No, but I'm going to anyway. It's a lead.
Happens. What happens if I ever see you again? Will you even be you?
Not sure. Some of the memories I have heard stay, and others drift, but hopefully not. I doubt I would, well, honestly. I doubt I could forget about you. He gets up from the tombstone. Leans down, wipes his hand off on the grass as much as he can, and kind of puts a hand on your shoulder, which just engulfs your entire shoulder. It's weirdly, you feel that you see the claws, but it's weirdly comforting. It's like Andre the Giant. And you have a good head on your shoulders and a good heart. I think anybody can be curious about this stuff. It's you. But just know there's plenty that already know and use it. They're not always the best. There is a reason I fled New Orleans.
What?
But I'm saying too much, and I must go.
But...
You take care of yourself.
But...
And as you kind of stand up with him and like look around, you actually notice that there's about a dozen of these things on the tops of the mausoleums around you, in behind, in the shadows, just on the outskirts, just on the outer reaches of the lantern light.
Okay. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. And as you kind of take a tentative step away, you feel a couple of them press in. And Douglas goes, "Beep, oh, whoop." and they relax and let you walk away.
Why do I feel like my uncle just saved my life?
Probably a good intuition. Accurate intuition. So yes. As you return home, the house remains in the state you left it. Slightly turned upside down, but nothing you didn't do yourself. You make your way to the parlor. And what does Livi do to wrap up the evening, this investigation, and this session?
Livi has a lot to digest, and similar to her uncle, she journals, she writes, she tries to put these things into words to help process it, make it make sense in some way, and she walks through the house, studies all the books that were missing, looks back at the journal that her uncle left, and in her mind she knows that, just as her uncle said, this is just the beginning, and she wants to know more.
As she scratches this into her journal, go ahead and roll me a sanity check. That I totally forgot to do when you realized that it was Douglas Kimball. But I didn't want to interrupt the roleplay. Did we get it?
I think so. Or I think we did it in the tunnel, but I did it again here. I think.
Okay.
Or unless it takes both times.
It was multiple things. So one was for realizing a monster was in front of you. One was for realizing that monster was Douglas Kimball. So that was that extreme one. So that'll be another point of sanity loss, but still a success. And then I need another one for the truths you just learned.
Okay, so I take another point for learning it was my uncle, and then roll again.
This time failing, and this is going to be a D4.
Okay.
Please try to roll below a 3. A 1. Right? No, a 3.
Below a 3, so since it is a 3, what does that mean?
So, that means that you lose 3 sanity. In addition to the 2 sanity you lost before, that brings us to 5 sanity. Now, mechanically speaking, this triggers a temporary bout of madness. So, what we'll do is in that box, same box where the sanity points, we're going to hit Temp Insane.
Okay.
So go ahead and click that. And then there's a roll there. Now, for I'm just talking meta. Normally, if it was like we were in the middle of combat or something, this would cause you to have a reaction, and then we'd roll something. In this context, we're kind of leaving it at the end of the prologue and kind of dealing with it. So we can either roll it, or we can kind of come up with something that is a manifestation of her temporary madness. And those basically, there's a whole set of like slew of rules for them, but essentially that is like getting so frightened that you might forget something, having a psychotic breakdown, having a traumatic having a PTSD source event, I guess would be the cause of that. But basically, there's a couple different ways to interpret that. So that gives the player a couple options. It's not many. It gives you 2 options though. Either role play out the insanity and have that be a part of your character. You can throw that in. There's a little spot, I think, below. Encounters with strange entities, or injuries and scars. You can kind of throw those into those so you can remember them later if you'd like for them for roleplay.
Yes.
Another thing you can do, which is an optional thing with investigators, but it can lead to some interesting stuff, is you can say, none of this happened. My brain will reject this memory and substitute its own, and basically bring your sanity back. What that does is a couple things. Story-wise, it creates a repressed memory, so that if anything having to do with that event comes up or rings true, those sanity points instantly get deducted from you at that point in time, and then you have to deal with it. So it's like, just like, toxically dealing with your stuff, and just be like, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to lock this away in a vault in my brain and just not think about it. That's repression. So the other way it can work is if you read something about something disturbing about an article. So like, I'm reading in one of the weird grimoires and I find this weird ritual and it fucking is horrifying. Yeah. I can be like, and that goes in the vault. That doesn't exist. That's fiction. This is fiction. Fiction. It's fake. And then when you go and see the ritual conducted in front of you in the same way that you read it, then that vault of points comes out. In addition to whatever you go insane here for, you also get that vault that you locked away. So that's how repression works in the game. I don't recommend it as a logical play, but if you're going for like an interesting roleplay experience at a more advanced level, it's a really cool mechanic.
Okay.
But let's just go ahead and do real-time madness.
Okay.
So physical hysterics or emotional outburst. So technically this would trigger right when you like are walking away. And maybe you don't have to like go fully, audible, but like we'll just say that you're on the verge of hysterics, and by the time you open the door and get into your house, you break down. Okay. That kind of thing. Okay. And you will definitely remember this. In the corner of the screen, Livi will remember this pops up there, just like in the Walking Dead games. So yeah, that is it though. That is Occult Origins Chapter 3. That's Paper Chase.
Oh my goodness. Ah, that was so much fun. That was intense.
I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad I didn't make it as crazy as I was planning to originally.
This was the very soft introduction. Yeah. I appreciate it.
I have a cat in my lap who demands attention, so I apologize if there's a tail floating on screen occasionally. But yes.
I only had a few questions. That is all.
Oh yeah, no, it went pretty smoothly for your first session ever. Pretty good, pretty damn good. So yeah, what did you think?
That was crazy fun. I cannot wait to do this again.
Okay, good. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. So yeah, that will be all for today. We will be back next week sometime with the next chapter of the prologue. I do believe we'll be introducing either... I'm not sure who we're bringing on next. It will be either Mega or Garbo. I'm not sure. Garbot. I always call her Garbo. She hates it. But that being said, it's been a pleasure having you all. It's been a pleasure playing some games with you and showing you the system and introducing Livi. And we will be back again. They will all be doing an adventure-style team-up once everybody's done their introduction, and we'll be getting into the full game. But until then, it's been a pleasure. This has been Melly the Martian, the lovely person next to me, and I am Grinning Moon, and this is Garrus right here. And we are signing off. You have yourself a lovely day. Take it easy.